Live from America's heartland, this is the Daily Truth Report with your host, Noah Christopher.
Welcome back to the Daily Truth Report. I'm your host, Noah, and the man everybody is asking for is here with us, back again with a huge update, and we're going to talk through a lot of questions and answers and what he's seen. So I want to say welcome back to the show to our good friend, Bo Polny with Gold 2020 Forecast. Bo, welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Noah. As always, pleasure. Thank you for allowing me to be here. And we have a lot to talk about, and much is about to happen here. So I would highly recommend the viewers pay attention to the show today because our world is going to go through a massive upheaval, change, shift here extremely soon. So there's much to talk about.
Okay, well, we're gonna jump right into it, and Bo has a lot of new slides that he's brought in today and we're gonna try and move as quickly as we can. As we always do, we tend to get talking, and all of a sudden 45 minutes or 60 minutes goes by just like a snap of a finger. So, but we're gonna try and get into everything. Of course, the big question is what happened with Bo's big date range that he was looking at. He was looking at, for a long time, he's been telling us on this show, watch out for September 24th, 25th, somewhere in that range. It's a big biblical date. It's a big date on his time calendar. We've got a lot to talk about with that, and there may be some things that you've missed as well. So Bo's going to explain that. Before we jump into that, I want to get in the habit of saying we're recording this on October 6th, 2022. Time's important for Bo, so it's important that everybody knows when we're talking. So this is Thursday, October 6th, and just a few references. Bitcoin, we talk about Bitcoin a lot. Bitcoin is at almost exactly $20,000. And so that's very interesting. Bo's going to have some thoughts on that here in a little bit too, of course. We're going to talk about Bitcoin, we're going to talk about gold and silver, and we're going to talk about the stock market because you're about to see some big stuff. So with that little introduction, I want to say one more thing. So Bo, you've got a beautiful slide presentation, and I just want to give my 2 cents. I really haven't gotten a chance to talk to you much before the interview here today. We talked maybe for 5 minutes before we jumped on here, but so I'm excited to hear what you have to say, but I want to share one thing that I noticed, and then I'm going to turn it over to you because people tune in to listen to you and not to me. But I want to share my screen, and I want to show everybody a couple articles because this was a big date range that you were looking at, and I don't know that we saw, we didn't see a new war declared. We didn't see someone die like Ruth Bader Ginsburg died the last time you were looking at a big date. But we did see some stuff. So let's click on this, and I want to throw this out there for everybody. Let's take a look at a few news articles. Okay, I want you to look at the dates on these. I've just got 3 pulled up. There's a bunch of them, but September 26th, 2022. This would be Monday morning after the weekend. There's that key date, September 24th and 25th, that Bo was looking at. And so after Sunday night, some really strange things happened Sunday night, and I bet Bo's going to talk about them, but you have massive things happening in the financial markets, and I just want you to look at this headline. So here's everybody wakes up Monday morning and the news starts covering it. This is the Australian dollar sinks after the British pound sinks to a 37-year low. You don't have to know a lot about finance to understand a 37-year low. Global recession fears grow. That's one article. Here's another one. This is from, I think a lot of people are familiar with Zero Hedge, great website. Just look at some of these charts on this one. This is pretty incredible. Look at this. Carnage, things start breaking, flash crash. And this, again, look at the date, Monday morning, September 26th, 5 a.m. in the morning. Look at some of these charts. This is the GBP. That's the British pound. I don't know a lot about foreign markets, but I know that that's not a normal chart right there. Bo, we're going to get all your thoughts on this here in just a minute. I know this isn't a normal chart right here. I know these things aren't good. Look at this headline. Again, same date, September 26th, British pound. This one says 40-year low against the dollar. When you have things, and Bo talks about 40-year cycles a lot. I thought that was really interesting. 40-year cycles, 50-year cycles. And look at this. In 40 years, we've never seen what's happening to the British pound. And the British pound is very important to financial markets. So, Bo, I just wanted to start off with that. I hadn't told you I was going to show you that, but I wanted to throw it out there. And then I'll let you walk us through the slides. I'll let you give any input you want, but that sure jumped out to me. What do you think?
So all of our interviews have always been about the fall of Goliath. Okay. What is Goliath? It's a worldwide control system. And how did they do it all? This is the critical point. How did they build the control systems around the world? With the money. Okay. A fiat debt-based money system, which they have ability to create out of thin air. So basically, the money was been, it says in the Bible, right? The love of money is a root of all evil. So you are correct. Those charts you actually showed, if you go to the actual chart and you can see the live feed of it, the crash began Friday evening, which would have been the 24th, Elul 29 in Israel. So it was perfect.
Wow.
Okay. And it always is about the money, because God said he's going to destroy Babylon and he's going to destroy the dollar. So that's until the dollar is destroyed, collapses. So in other words, we have a massive devaluation of it. It loses its world reserve status. They will continue to do what they've done for all these generations. So it all comes down to the money. So now this is like not even funny anymore because we're here. So again, we calculate time. I calculate time. And so as an example, we said Rosh Hashanah in 2020 was supposed to be big. And what happened? Ginsburg died. Then next Rosh Hashanah of 2021, something big was supposed to happen. And lo and behold, they have to shut down the bond trading for the Evergrande bonds in China because that would have collapsed China. So that shut down.
I remember that.
Happened, right? And now look at this Rosh Hashanah. It's again about the money again, right? And now it's not the bonds or it's not China. It's actually, it's Britain, right? And what happened 2 weeks before that? You had the death of the Queen, and now the Queen's money, the Britain's money, the pound collapsed. And then you have the pound sterling. So it's talking about, so we're bringing in the word of silver as well into this conversation now because of pound sterling. So the point is, all of it is about the money system, and it's very fascinating that all these events go down on the start of a new year. God's year.
New biblical year.
New biblical year, new God's year. So, our last conversation was something big was supposed to happen on the 24th, 25th weekend, or, end up being a weekend on that time point. So I don't know what's going to happen, but I do know that was a powerful time point. And then when you look at the charts, if you look simply on chart page 6, you can actually see what happened on page 6. It shows you very clearly what happened on the 24th.
Oh, there we go.
Okay. So all the currencies went down, Bitcoin spiked up, and then that's actually confirmed what you just said. The British pound plummeted to a 40-year low against the dollar. Okay. So I used to go to Europe. I've been to Europe before. Usually the British pound was twice the value of the dollar.
Right.
Okay. Now it's below par from what I understand. So my point, I don't look at currencies much, but our whole point is that was a delineation of time. So I left it alone, and okay, so I know that happened. Now, what does that mean? So so when you go quiet, you listen and you hear things, and with the information that I got, just like when oil, remember that event? Oil went to zero. I'm like, well, that's crazy, but that was supposed to happen on that day because that was a calculated date point, right? We knew 1,260 days from when Trump got elected. That was April 20th, 21 of the year 2020. And we knew that was supposed to be a powerful time point, not knowing what was going to happen. But then we watched oil go to negative $38 a barrel. Okay. So all we knew was that was a marker in time. And then 150 days from that was a biblical time point, which ended up being Rosh Hashanah, and Ginsburg died. The point is, these are powerful time points. And then Ginsburg died. But then what did I say? Is the marking of Ginsburg death, which will end up overturning Roe v. Wade into the future.
That's right. It didn't happen that day.
It did. So Roe v. Wade wasn't overturned on the day, but that was the event that then triggered the return of that brought in a new Supreme Court judge, which then caused the overturning of Roe v. Wade. All of it was because of the death of Ginsburg on Rosh Hashanah. So just like the death of Ginsburg, September 24th and the 25th is going to go down in history as a critical marker in time. What I got from that point, and so when oil went to zero, 30 days later, the Edenville Dam, actually, if you can click on page 5, the Edenville Dam broke in the township of Hope, Michigan.
I remember that.
Remember that? We're going back to Eden. So, and it breaks 30 days later. marking the birth of the water breaking for the birth, which is going to happen 10 days later, of the latter rain. The latter, Haggai 2 verse 9, will be greater than the former rain. That also was the marking of the opening of the second seal of Revelation. And when the Holy Spirit came upon the earth, well, that freaked out evil. So thus we have the George Floyd riots break out. You can see it there on the lower chart. Okay. Now, if you run the same 30 days, well, we know, I'm telling you, 30 days is going to be crazy. Something big's going to happen again. And I'm telling you, because it's 10/24, it's October 24th, it's related to the stock markets, okay? Because you know that the chart that I've given you years ago, okay, we've talked about for I don't know how long, that chart is on page 29. That chart is the 1, 2, 4, 4, 2, 1 pattern, showing that, again, 3 years ago, I knew the stock market was going to drop in September of 2022, last month. Noah, it dropped 12%. That's not a miss. Are you kidding me? 3.5 years ago was telling the stock market was supposed to crash in September, and it did. 12% crash, which is sizable, okay? The only thing that hasn't happened yet is the collapse. But if you look at the chart pattern, right? It's a 717 pattern, which basically in Greek is the word Lord, okay? The one is a pause month, which is right now here, October. You can see it's the blue number 1.
I see
Okay.
it.
So interestingly enough, we are in the month of pause right now because the stock markets do not rally until November. I repeat, there is no stock market rally until November, which puts a huge problem for the current month of October. Next page.
Hey, Bo, before
Yes.
we get to, I'm sorry to interrupt that. Before you get to the next page, for people that might be hearing you for the first time, can you explain? You said there's a cycle 4-2-1, then 1-2-4, but that's a big cycle, right? Can you explain what those numbers mean?
Right. So the big picture of time is, if you add up the numbers, and again, not numerology, this is simply taking math that's in the Bible, because Daniel's timeline, it talks about the number 7.
Yeah,
7 years of Daniel is right in the Bible, okay? If you break that up, you got a 4, you got a 2, and a 1. Well, God's time, God's big math is very simple. It's 4,000 years from creation to Jesus is 4,000 years. From Jesus's birth to his return is 2,000 years. So it's 2,000 years of the Jews. I'm sorry, 4,000 years of the Jews. 2,000 years of the Gentiles, and then 1,000-year millennial reign. So that's the massive picture of the 4-2-1. So drop the zeros, but just 4-2-1, 4,000, 2,000, 1,000. We're heading into the millennial reign. We are right now already in Revelation, that's written in the Bible, and we are at the tail end of the 2,000 years.
Okay, thanks for saying that too. I always want to make that clear for maybe people that are new or that don't know you. You look at time cycles, you look at numbers. Numbers are very big to you, but you're not a there are people that do numerology. They try and ascribe numbers to words, or they take words.
Exactly. That's numerology. You take a word and you go, well, that letter means this number. That's numerology. I don't do that. Okay. That's not scriptural. That's not biblical. Okay.
Some numbers are lucky. Some numbers are bad, or you add up and so that's not what Bo does. I want to make that clear. And the Bible does talk about times and seasons. There are very clearly, God put the sun, moon, and stars in the sky for tracking time and seasons, and those go in a cycle. The world seems to work in a cycle. The Bible.
And another example, Noah, like when you read the Bible, it said, and it rained after the ground broke open and started, and it began to rain, and it rained for 40 days and 40 nights. That is a cycle in the Bible, right? That's simply 40. It says 40 days and 40 nights. It's 40 days. So I'm not taking it and doing anything different except taking that time window of 40 days and applying it to present day. Does that make sense?
Perfect. Yeah, thank you for saying that. I think that'll really help a lot of people. So, all right. Well, I'm sorry.
And it's like, and also another thing, we use this too. It's like a month has 30 days in it. Okay. Yes. Some months have 28, some months have 29, some months have 31, but the average month has 31, and a biblical month is 30 days. That's why they're called, it used to be called months. And so the Jewish calendar, or God's calendar, which is used by the Jews, is slightly different than our Gregorian calendar because of that fact that we play with the months. But a true biblical calendar is 30 days every single month.
Ah,
Period.
wow.
And that's biblical. Okay, that's not me making it. That's biblical, and that's why the calendars have to be adjusted based on the moon sometime because of that 30 days. Because it's so to make it all the year, the work out every single year. So again, this is biblical time windows. That's the best way to describe it. They're biblical time windows. If you read Matthew, it talks about that there are 1,260 days. It says that right in the Bible. Okay. So I'm just using the words of Matthew and applying the 1,260 days to our world, our present time. So if you take as a perfect example, so 1,260 days, Trump gets elected, you add 1,260 days. I knew that was a powerful time point. And for the first time in human history, oil didn't go to zero. It went to negative $38 a barrel, which doesn't even make sense to me.
No.
But that was a marker in time. You understand that? So that's why you add 888 days forward, because that's Jesus, the Greek interpretation of that. That simply took us to Rosh Hashanah 2022. And on that exact day, the pound plunges that weekend into Monday morning, the 26th. And then the 2 days later, or a day later, they had to shut down the bond trading of the pound because everything would have broke apart in London. Their whole financial system all of their financial system would have collapsed if they didn't shut down the trading.
Yes, I've heard that. That's right, Bo. And so what they've done is they stepped in, they tried to take some emergency measures.
Yes.
And it looks like that's throwing us into your chart here of the pause month. So maybe they're going to buy themselves a few extra weeks, but it doesn't change the fact that the damage has been done, if I'm hearing you right.
And here's the thing about charts, right? The thing is, which I've come to realize, and it's kind of got me started on my journey. I simply asked myself a question, and everybody should ask themselves this question: is tomorrow random, or is it not? Right?
Interesting.
So if the cycle is if tomorrow is random, there's no way that the chart you're looking at there on page the page 29, there's no way I would have known 3 years ago that the stock market's going to drop in September of 2022. But I got this chart pattern interpretation in, I believe it was November or March of 2019.
Wow.
So how did I know that? I didn't know that. It was in the cycle. So therefore, life isn't random. The cycle's there, we just don't see it. But if you understand the cycle, you can figure it out.
So we're getting deep today, Bo. I like it. So
okay. So all I'm saying is that if you look at the 4-2-1 pattern, which adds up to the 7, and then there's a middle 1, and then there's another 7, which is a 1-2-4. So we are in the 1, which is the blue one right now, which then leads us into the next 7 pattern, which is 7 months forward. So the 7 pattern is also, it could be years and it could be months. Right now we're using that cycle pattern and representing it as months, because that's called every single crash so far. They called the crash that occurred precisely in December of 2018. It called the crash precisely that happened in March of 2020. It called the 10-day drop, wasn't a crash, but 10-day drop in June of 2021. And now, again, incredibly, it called the crash that just happened, 12% crash, in September of 2022. It hasn't missed.
Wow.
No, the cycle hasn't missed. But now we're waiting for biblical. So biblical would happen on it might happen on a different pattern. And I'm looking at it and it looks like it's going to happen on the number 1, which is, if you look in the bottom, go back to the 1 page 29. If you look on the left side there, you'll see the 717. In Greek, that represents Lord. So this is God's math, God's numbers. It's incredible.
Wow.
So right now we're in October. We've had a crash. We haven't had a collapse. So I want to show you the importance again. If you don't believe me that 124 or 421 are important numbers, Noah, go to the next page 30. And please explain this to me, because when I say explain, the viewers that want to poo-poo this, have them please explain to me how this happened. Because in 1929, the markets dropped, they crashed 5%, and then they rebounded up in that final bounce, and then they broke support on October 24th, yellow arrow. There's articles written about the market crashing starting on October 24th. If you drop a zero, that's 1024 or 124. The markets collapsed in a matter of a week, almost 50, it was 45% crash.
Wow.
All because of the number 124, God's day.
So we're obviously in the month of October right now.
We're in the month of October. So I'm doing the math, looking at the cycles, and what I'm seeing right now is we're about to experience because this month, this is not going to on a weekend, okay? October 24th is a Monday.
Ooh.
So I would highly expect that we're going to have a horrible Black Monday, October 24th, which then leads to a massive financial world collapse. I would expect probably coming out of Europe since it started with Britain. So we're going to see the markets begin to collapse coming out of Europe. And as we wake up here, probably on Monday, they're going to be collapsing like what happened in 1929. And then we're going to have a horrendous market collapse into month end October. So the last month of October, talk about a crappy Halloween or Halloween, right? It's Satan's day, right? So I don't know how. I'm just telling you, it's going to be horrible. And we could see probably minimum what happened in 1929 was 45%, which is about 18,000 on the Dow.
Whoa.
So that's below 20,000. And it could be worse because of all the manipulation that we've seen. So, it could get, the chart that we've got, the chart patterns here, the strike targets, if you look at next page 31. So if you want to look at targets, page one target, so 19,300 would be the first support line. So that's just under 20 like we talked about. The next support line comes in at 12,500, followed by 7,000, followed by 5,000. So I don't know how bad this is going to be, but under 20,000 seems like an absolute.
Wow.
In October into latest the first week of November into the elections. So something's about to blow.
And it really, if I'm hearing you right, it's already started. It's just under the surface, and it's being maybe held back as with every last measure they can.
Yes, but you can go look at it back to the page 30, right? What happened? So we experienced a drop just like we witnessed in 1929. The date patterns are slightly different, but the point is what that is called is the rise up into that final bounce line. That's called a dead cat bounce. It's a technical term. This means like it's dead, but it just bounces, right? And then it collapses. And so we're watching right now, the 6th of October, the dead cat bounce. You read my report last week. What did it say? I'm not even gonna say, Noah, what did my report, you can tell the viewers, what did my report say last week about what's going to happen on this week with the stock markets?
Yeah, you did. So this is Bo's newsletter that he gives all this information away for free, but he does have a paid newsletter that I subscribe to and enjoy. And Bo, so last week, today's October 6th, last week, at the end of that week, that's this crash Bo was talking about, we were red on the markets, the whole end of that week. And
which was, and then Friday, sorry.
Yeah, it was Friday.
Friday ended September. So I'm sorry. So Friday ended September. And so what did I write? So go ahead, continue.
Yeah, no, and you put out there, you said this has been a lot of red, but actually look for Monday, the markets to turn up for a brief reprieve. And it's exactly what happened. Of course, we can all look back now. It's October 6th and we can see it. And if you want to see that, if you're a member, or if you want to be a member, you go in there and you get access to all of those old historical reports. So he doesn't hide anything here. He when he puts stuff out, he stands by it. And this was a stutter, Bo. So if it
was called nailing it to the day. And we've had so many of those. We've had so many of those in history. But here's the thing: I don't want any credit for it. Okay, God shows me how to understand timelines and understand cycles. Okay, God gets the glory because He showed me how to do these things. Okay, the point is, tomorrow's not random. Because if it was, I would not have been able to write that starting Monday, October 3rd, the markets will rally. And
Well,
they will rally this week into the end of the week. Did I not write that?
You had it, and anyone can go read it if they want to. And I'll tell you what, Bo, it really looked so bad last week that you're ending the week. It's been red all week. It's these big 1,000-point losses or whatever it was. Don't hold me to that. I don't know the number, but they were really bad red days. And then you're going into the weekend, and then you've got this war in Ukraine, and you've got all this other stuff. The world looks like it's on the edge, teetering on the edge. I really thought we might wake up to a Black Monday this week. And then I read your report, and I thought, well, Bo doesn't think that. And you, sure enough, you turned out to be right. But I thought it could have happened this week.
And that's the thing, Noah. See, I don't read the news, right? People send me news articles, like everything I post, because people send me stuff. Like, I don't watch the news. It's a waste of my time because the news is old. See, what's new to me is the cycles because they haven't happened yet. So when people send me articles, it's based on the cycle. The news articles simply fulfill the cycles. It's crazy, but the cycles, they're already there. And so whatever happened Monday or Tuesday, it was simply a result of whatever happened in the world, but it was already foretold in the cycle that Monday, Tuesday, we get a rally. Monday, the Dow rallied like 800 points, I think, 800 points. Then again on Tuesday, silver had a crazy day on Monday. It did $1.70, right? My gold update basically said the same thing. So, silver's moving with the stock market. So basically what happened? Silver moved up with the stock market. So it's incredible how the cycles precede events. And that's the point I'm trying to make here, right? We know that the cycles now are preceding events. And so I'm trying to illustrate that October is going to be horrible, which is, going to be, it's going to be whatever. And the thing is, if the markets collapse 50%, 45%, whatever it is, right? Maybe 60%, but even 45% to do it in 1929, right? My question to the viewers listening is, what the heck just happened in the world?
Mm-hmm. Right. Yes.
Was it a war? Did earthquakes pop off around the world? Remember, God's going to intervene, right? So something's going to happen. Are they going to attack?
Mm-hmm.
Then the God intervenes. Second, so how does this play out?
Well, there's
a nuclear sub. Russia's
yes.
Russia's there's a nuclear sub missing out of Russia.
That's right. It still hasn't been found as of the date of recording this. No one knows where it is.
I found it fascinating. The movie Hunt for Red October.
Oh, we're living through it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Remember, go watch the movie Hunt for Red October. It was a sub that went missing out of Russia.
Sometimes
how does this happen?
Laugh. Yes.
But the fact that there's a movie makes me think that the evil ones are running this show here, possibly.
Yeah.
So we don't know how this is playing out, but all I know is that God wins. So there's nothing to fear because God wins, but it's going to be ugly. So whatever's going to happen is going to be ugly. Okay, there were people, there's food lines. There was people, there's looting, at the time of 1929 because people needed food. So I'm just telling you, if you haven't prepared with food and water, I sure hope you have, because I have. Because when the stuff goes down, I'm hanging at the house. I got everything I need, right? So because I've been preparing, my wife doesn't, but my people think, my whole family thinks, why do you prepare so much? Because that's who I am, okay? It's like the 10 virgins, okay? I want to be the 5 that have the oil.
Yes, right.
Okay? And so I've always had oil in my lamps. Call me crazy, I don't care, because all I care is what God's opinion is of me.
Yeah, that's so good, Bo. That's really, and speaking of events, I mean, it sure looks to me like 46 is on his very last legs. I mean, he's been on his last legs for a while, but is that one part of the events? Does he disappear? Is he gone? Is he removed? Is he? Who knows? But
that's the thing. And I know, and I've stated on your show how many times. Okay, I've stated so clearly that the bottom line is, okay, you can't have 45 return. It's an impossibility. He's not allowed to be there on what you're looking at. On that collapse, that's not going down on his watch. You understand?
Yeah, isn't that great?
He's not allowed to be there. It's the Biden collapse. He's 45 is not allowed to be there.
I love that.
Okay,
That's so good.
what you're looking at, that is not the 45 collapse. It's the Biden collapse, the craftsman. Okay, Jesus Christ was a builder. He was a carpenter. 45 is a builder. Okay, he's a craftsman. He's not allowed to be there, but he comes back to do what? Rebuild what God destroys.
Oh, that's great.
Okay, and what we talked about over and over and over again is the collapse of what? Babylon.
Yes,
go
right.
to page 40, go to page 11, page 11, please. Okay, so we've talked about page 11 and page above that, even page 10. Let's start there. 2,500 years ago, the prophecy of Daniel foretold all the kingdoms. So I don't want to go through all it again, but basically it foretold all 2,500 years of everything that's existed so far. But what's not happened is the fall of that statue. If you go to the next page 11, okay, fallen is Babylon the Great. She has become a dwelling place for demons. It's really important to understand. If you please go up to page 8, I want to explain to you what Babylon is.
Well, you just said that, Bo. What did not that he's an angel or a saint, but what did Putin say just this week? He said the USA is ruled by Satanists.
Yes.
He came out and said it.
Right, but remember, as much as that's true, he said it, right? You have to, when you read the Bible, I was reading some comments. People are thinking that Putin gave himself to Jesus or God or something. Come on, listen. It's written that you got to read Revelation because you're missing a whole lot in that Bible when that's not the case, okay? But the point is, God's using him right now because he's a part of the BRICS nations, and the BRICS come together as one to take down Goliath. Actually, it's said best with a prophecy of Kim Clement. The brothers of Goliath, the BRICS nations, Russia, China, India, Brazil, okay? So all these nations come together as one. Read Revelation 17. They come together as one to do God's will and take down Babylon. It's written on page 26. If you want to see go to page 26 real quickly, but it's right there. 26 states, for God has put it into their hearts, which is the BRICS nations, to carry out his purpose by being of one mind. See, they come together as one to take down Babylon. And Kim Clement stated, the brothers of Goliath. So that's the brothers of Goliath, the BRICS nations right there. Kim's words were, the brothers of Goliath stand in glee. We will cripple you. Who are they talking to? They are talking to the United States. I want to show you why. If you go back to page 8, so now you'll get understanding in the prophetic word. So if you read Jeremiah 51 verse 7, Babylon was a golden cup in the Lord's hands. Why? So what does that mean? So we chose God. We founded our nation under God. Israel was chosen by God. The United States chose God. By choosing God, the Father, okay, we were the golden cup. Very simple. And as the golden cup, what do? We took the Bible across the globe. We took financial aid across the globe. We took military protection across the globe. Get it? We are, United States is Babylon. But then, okay, she made the whole world drunk. How did that happen? With the money. The nation drank her wine, therefore they have gone mad. So now Babylon is no longer just the United States, it's the globe. The nations have gone mad. So now back to the prophecy, the brothers of Goliath stand in glee, the BRICS nations stand in glee, we will cripple you. They're pointing to the prophecy means he's talking about the BRICS nations talking about crippling the United States. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. And the dollar.
Well, and that exactly, because so the BRICS nations are going to challenge the dollar all at once, and they're going to sell the bonds faster than you can ever imagine, causing a massive flood of the dollars. So we're not going to have a great flood of the water. It'll be a great flood of the currency back to the United States, causing a sudden collapse in the dollar and then the bonds. And that will break the financial system in November, causing the greatest financial event in human history to occur, and that's the great wealth transfer, thus creating a moonshot on God's money, gold particularly.
Okay, so a lot of people are going to hear that and say, well, I live in the United States. Everything I have is in dollars, and you're telling me it's gonna go under and we're gonna have hyperinflation. What do I do? Is it too late? What do I do? How do I prepare?
So I don't want to give financial advice. I'm telling you the dollar, but also you need to understand the dollar's not going to go to zero, okay? It's a crash. It might lose 30% of its value, but that's enough to give it a haircut and lose its world reserve status. So other nations probably will not be accepting it as payment anymore. Well, they will not when this event goes down. And so all of this causes a massive financial shift. And so it's going to be so bad. It'll be so bad what happens that the builder will have to come in because there's only one who can rebuild this.
45.
And then he's going to 45 will come back and rebuild. But let's talk about the rebuild, okay? Because I want to get into a little more details of this. On page one is very important because I was there. I will repeat this. I was there. Good friend of mine, Prophet Lois Vogel Sharp. She was asked by God to create the Texas gathering 6 months ago on specifically September 24, 25. That was no coincidence because God wanted it to happen on that day. Lo and behold, we found out that on that day ended up being Rosh Hashanah. You know, as the day is approached, we're like, wow, well, that's being Rosh Hashanah. So she had, and God asked her to put the event on, and she goes, what am I supposed to charge, Father? And God said, nothing. You are to do it for free for everybody, and you are to pay for it.
Wow.
This is crazy.
Yeah.
Lord, and God said, and Lois is like, are you sure, Father? He goes, why do you care? It's my money, not yours.
Oh, wow. That's so good. Wow. And I love that. Just to pause for a minute, you know, some people say, oh, you know, everyone's just in it for the money, just giving these prophecies for the money. Listen to that, folks. I mean, she's doing it, and she not only did she not charge, but she had to come out of her pocket to pay for this event. And this is the first time hearing about it, but keep going.
Oh, and she paid for everybody's meals.
Oh, wow.
No, this is like a $30,000 bill.
And this is Lois Vogel Sharp.
Vogel Sharp.
We've covered her before. She's great. This
is who our Father is, and this is who she is. This is the real deal. Okay. So, you know, so then 700 people apparently signed up. It was over 600 signed up.
Okay.
It's everything's arranged. She shows up Saturday after everybody checked in. Noah, 300 precisely showed up.
Half.
Have you ever read Gideon?
Yes, one of my favorites.
So the Father actually said, "This is my army."
Oh, wow. That is one of my favorite stories in the whole Bible.
So on that day, Saturday, September 24th, the army of Gideon was reborn. You want to know what happened on September 25th? The army of Gideon was reborn. And on that day, 30 trumpets showed up, Noah. It wasn't 35, it was 30. 300 precisely with 30 trumpets on stage. And I'm going to read this to you.
Wow.
And when the trumpets blew, the Lord set the sword of one against another throughout the entire army. Noah, these people are about to turn on one another to protect their own hides. This is going to be historic, what's about to happen here.
I love that. For people that don't know that story, you need to go read it, number one. But the story is that there were thousands of people that showed up to fight, and God whittled it down to 300
Yeah,
people.
there's 30, I think there's like 30 or 40,000 that showed up. Then there's 20,000, 10,000 left. God, based on how they drank the water, God gets the ones that drank like dogs, send them home. And that was another 9,000, because the first one batch that went home were just scared, so they left. The other 9,700 that drank like dogs, like drank down from the lake, were sent home because God said they will take the glory. And the 300 that were left, God knew that they would not take the glory of what's about to happen.
So then that's his army that he's picked. And Gideon was the weakest person in his tribe, and his tribe was the weakest of all the tribes.
Yeah, no, so Gideon's army ended up having 300 people. So that was at the end of that. Gideon only had 300 men.
Yes, so you got God's essentially chosen the weakest of the weak, and then when it comes down to the battle, he doesn't.
There's like 100 and something thousand versus 100 something thousand.
Yeah, so if you've seen that movie, The 300, I think they took bits of that and
yes, exactly.
by the biblical story. But so you've got 300 versus thousands, tens of thousands, and instead of having to even lift a sword, God causes the enemy camps to attack each other and turn on each other, and they end up slaughtering each other, and they never have to fight. So I just want everyone to understand that what Bo is saying is you are about to witness something incredible. You're going to see people turning on each other. Maybe can we say Kamala and Joe? Or
everybody.
Can we say some other people?
The whole bunch of them.
And it's going to be great. So I just, wow, that is cool. I wanted everybody to understand how cool that story is. And I'll try and put the link below this video so you can go read it too. And Bo's got it in there, Judges chapter 7. But yeah, that's worth your time. Go read it.
It's incredible. And then, so I want to read Jeremiah 51, verse 11 through 14, because this ties in directly what's about to go down here. So Babylon, she cannot be healed. We've talked about this. Okay, that's right on stone, page 1. Okay, for her judgments reach to the heavens. Sharpen the arrows and take up the shields. The Lord has stirred up the kings, because his purpose is to destroy Babylon. The Lord will take vengeance. Remember, vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. The Lord will take vengeance for his temple. Reinforce the guard, station the watchmen, which is us, and prepare for ambush. The Lord will carry out his purpose. His decree is against the people of Babylon. What did we say last interview? If God is with us, who could be against us? We said that because we overturned Roe v. Wade. So there it is. The Lord will carry out his purpose, his decree he's got a decree against the people of Babylon. So he's about to strike. You who live by many waters, New York, and rich in treasures, your end has come, and the time for you to be destroyed.
Wow.
We are 30 days from September 25 is the 24th of October. 1, 2, 4.
So that's your big date. That's 1, 2, 4.
That's when it all starts. Collapse, which leads to a crash, which leads to collapse, which leads to plunge, which the last week of October, horrible, then takes us into November. November starts off horrible. And then that leads into the battle of Goliaths, okay? The brothers of Goliath stand in glee. We will cripple you because of the collapse. We're going to see then the collapse of the dollar and the bonds come in November, which then leads into a historic move. So probably 2-3 weeks after the stock collapse, the bonds and dollar breaks and the world financial system. That's why Kim Clement said, what? Hypnotic November.
People
this will be in November you will never forget. So it says right there, final preparations. I hope, you better have on the shield, the armor of God, faith. You better have some food and water so you're not running to the store. And if you got the means, I hope you've prepared, with precious metals, but that's your decision. Again, I personally am holding silver because I know what's coming. And so that it's all I can tell you about what's about to go down.
So I want to talk about that in a minute, along with crypto too. But you said hypnotic November, and just thinking about that, what does that mean? Hypnotic, being in a trance, being just so stunned at what you're seeing. I think back to September 11th when that happened, and we all turned on the TV you just sat there for a while because you couldn't quite process what you were seeing. You never thought you'd see something like this. It was hypnotic. And I think what
Yes.
you're saying is November is going to be like that day after day after day.
Yeah, it's a great example. You know, everybody remembers where they were when 9/11 happened, right? That's the point. So hypnotic means it's something that you just can't, like, what? What just happened? Are you
Yep.
kidding me? Like, you know, and so you're going to have just like freak out sessions. You know, the media is going to be freaking out on TV, live TV, freak out sessions. It's just going to be just everything that you just would normally never see. And they're just going to be all over the place. People will be freaking out because of whatever happened again. And that's the thing, right? I've said on your show, and please confirm this, Noah, but we've read Isaiah 61 how many times on your show? The year of the Lord's, you know, the year of the Lord's favor, right?
Yes, we have.
Which is 2022, and the day of vengeance of our God, right? And what have I said? No one specifically, not one prophet, God has not spoken through one prophet to give that day of when it goes down. Okay? And no one prophet, God's never spoken the actual event or events of how he's going to do this. It's a secret. And why did it have to be secret? Because a perfect example is if Pharaoh knew that if God spoke through the prophets and said that God's going to open the Red Sea, and then Pharaoh's going to go into the Red Sea, and then God's going to close the sea on Pharaoh and his army. If the word got out to Pharaoh, he wouldn't have gone in after Israel, right? So the last move must be a secret, because that's the kill move. That's the kill shot. That's the strike that God is waiting for. And so he's been lining up all the pieces. And so September 24th was when the shofars were blown, the army of Gideon assembled, and I was there, one of them. This is crazy. And now we're about to see events unfold starting at the 30-day mark, which is Monday, October 24th.
Okay, so I have one more question, and then I want to talk about crypto, because we get the most questions about that.
Oh yeah, ask your question, then I want to go to page 13 and then crypto. Go ahead.
Okay, all right. Well, so we're looking at page 1 here. You've got September 24th, 25th up there. Obviously, that's the big day we've been talking about. Now you're talking about October 24th. That 24th number, that's when the British pound started tanking that night. And so what I'm seeing the number 24 a lot. Is that and I'm looking at this, maybe I can go down here. Is there, you want to talk about 24?
Yeah, so if you want to talk about 24, was that page 7, please?
Oh, there it is right there. Roe versus Wade was the 24th too. I thought that happened on the 24th.
Yeah, so basically, so the 24th, again, it's a number that God is repetitively using for powerful things that happen. Like Putin accepts payment for gold, for oil, and with, on March 24th, he's accepting payment for, demands for oil or gas. He's taking gold as payment, or
yes,
Bitcoin.
Yes,
on March 24th. Now this is crazy too, because
the petrodollar.
On February 24th, the Ukraine war began.
Yeah, look at this. All of these 24s in this list here. Wow.
Okay, so, and then we got September 24th. Well, we just talked about that. Army and Gideon, the 300 are now assembled. And on top of that, the British pound plummeted on that day.
There it is. You got it. Yep.
Okay, and then on the 25th, another side note was when Italy elected their new prime minister, which is basically equivalent to electing Trump, because they hate her. She stands for church and family, God and family. They're comparing her to Mussolini. So it's just these incredible things happen on that day.
That's right. They hate that, and they hate us because the slogan literally is "Make America Great." And somehow that's offensive.
Yeah, and her slogan is God and family.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So this was a horrendous loss for the people that try to grab it in Italy. So it was a very powerful day that all these things went down. And then that also takes us to Zechariah 1, and Zechariah 1 is November 24th. And so Zechariah 1 you can see on page 40. On the 24th day of the 11th month of the second year, the word of the Lord came by the word of the second year of Darius, the word of the Lord came by the prophet Zechariah. I have returned to Jerusalem with mercy. The cities shall again overflow. I'm going to repeat. When God does things, it's overflow
right
with prosperity.
Love that.
Okay, so a dollar collapse will cause a spike in precious metals, and there you get your overflow for those who prepared. And that's what's about to happen. Now, the cool thing about the word overflow is on page 32. Now, the collapse, Lois, again, the word of Lois Vogel Sharp, will be the collapse will be the victory needed to stop the furthering of this evil regime. The banking system, will fail. What God is about to do, no man can do. And that's why you have the 300 of Gideon, because none of them want the glory. God gets the glory.
That's
and
great.
This is important here. Those who have listened, so much is coming your way that there will be overflow onto all of those around you.
Wonderful.
So those who do not have the means to be preparing financially, if you love the Lord and you're around those who love the Lord and you accept Christ, what's about to happen is overflow like you cannot imagine. And everybody, the church will be blessed, because the finances that are coming are gonna be immense. We can't even imagine.
Yeah, and biblically, both prosperity is part of the Bible. All this stuff
Yes.
about living as a miser, that's not in the Bible. But
I want to pause there, because that's exactly because this is so important to me to get across. Is Satan is the deceiver. He's convinced the world that money's bad. No. The love of it, which he has, okay, and all the people that work for him, they have the love for it, right? But money is good because you can build churches with it. You can take care of your family with it. You can feed your family. You can do everything you need for your family and take care of all those around you with it. That's why they want to take it from you.
Mm-hmm.
They want you poor. They want you job means just over broke. They want you living in the streets. They want you, because if you're just over broke and living in the streets, who are you dependent on? Big brother. And that's how they want it.
Exactly right.
So there's nothing wrong with money, and that's the blessings that are coming, because Proverbs 13:22 will be fulfilled. The wealth of the sinner is stored up for the righteous, which is God's church. So we're about to see immense blessings. Deuteronomy 28 says we are to be the lenders to the nations. We're about to see that. This is historic. That's about to happen. And this is the fun part. So back to page 13, which I wanted to address. Now, we've talked about Babylon the Great. I've also made direct reference to the harlot and the death of the queen that we just saw, right? Right above that on page 12, you'll see, in a single day, the kings of the earth will weep and wail. That's Revelation 18, verses 8 through 9, okay? So the next part of that, when this event goes down, it's on page 13. Remember, how does that event happen? That's on page 12, the kings of the earth. Why would they weep and wail? Because it started. Okay, so the harlot, and so there's a harlot. I saw a woman, a harlot, sitting on a scarlet beast. That's the picture right there, okay? And she was full of blasphemous names, and it had 7 heads and 10 horns. The 7 heads are the church, the family, education, government, entertainment, and media, all built up with a financial system. Those are your 7 heads. And the 7 heads are their 7 mountains or 7 hills, okay? Those are representing the 7 hills and how they built all of this. And Lance Wallnow, there's a link there. You can, the blue link under the 7 hills. You can, one day the viewers can click that, but that takes you to a very good description of what the 7 hills are. Lance does a great job. The point is, that's how they built and can do everything right now. But the rider, the queen, is no more. The pound, the financial system that she's riding, just collapsed. This whole beast is about to fall apart. The hills are about to collapse. So let's read page 14, Psalm 97, verse 1 through 6. The Lord reigns. Let the earth be glad. Let the distant shores rejoice. Clouds and thick darkness surround him. Righteousness and justice are the foundation of his throne. Fire goes before him and consumes his foes on every side. His lightning lights up the world. The earth sees and trembles. Here it is. The mountains melt like wax before the Lord of the earth. The heavens proclaim his righteousness, and all people will see his glory. The 7 mountains that we just talked about on page 13 are all about to go down.
Mm.
All of those. And then I want to finish on this point. Then we get the return of the builder, the craftsman, that's discussed actually in Zechariah 1. The builder comes to rebuild the craftsman. He's the craftsman to rebuild what? The 7 mountains with a new church powered by the Holy Spirit, with stadiums preaching Christ, with a new family unit, a real family unit.
Okay, now hang on. Before I get a lot of comments, a new church. Bo's not talking about a new religion. He's talking about doing it the way the Bible originally said that's been corrupted. So
yes.
can we
just
get that clear?
There's not going to be churches. We're going to show up to stadiums. This is the prophetic word. We're going to go into stadiums that were built by them for football and soccer. And then there are going to be revivals of 50, 70, 80, 100,000 people preaching Christ. Jesus.
How cool is that? Love that.
That's the church that's coming, people.
There we go.
That's the church. And these pastors that had these churches that were built on Babylon, that's what falls, okay? So it's everything new. Again, I can't describe all of it because I don't know. But I'm just telling you bits and pieces that are about to happen. It's going to be awesome. And then the United States will be a beacon of light for the world, and for us, we have a season that all this happens. So we're going to be blessed financially, and everything that we know falls apart and changes. And then that's the death angel. Thanksgiving is a time of what you have sown. This is kind of maybe a good place we can end here, is what you have sown, thus shall you reap. So if you maybe click all the way, go over to page, where is that? My Thanksgiving page, page 42. So remember, we talked about Zechariah 1, which is September 24th, which just happens to be Thanksgiving. That's crazy, but it is, okay? And then Hypnotic November, Kim Clement. Galatians 6, verse 7 says, do not be deceived. We've talked about this in the last few interviews. God is not mocked. For whatever a man soweth, thus shall he reap. What that means is if you've sown evil seeds trying to hurt us, God's church, you're going to reap what you try to do to us.
Haman's gallows.
Yes, exactly. He built a gallows for Mordecai only to be hung on it himself. Okay. And so these are things you can read in Malachi 3. It says, bring the full tithing into the storehouse, that there may be food in my house. I will pour down for you a blessing until there is no more need. Your vine in the field shall not fail to bear fruit. All nations will call you blessed. That's what's coming.
And that's the blessing you were talking about. Biblical blessing is always so that you can bless others and they can overflow from you. So that's what a great quote you have right there.
Yeah, and that takes us to the next slide. This guy's coming back. My best guess would be, November, maybe around Thanksgiving. I don't know. I'm just guessing.
Wow.
Latest December. But the prophetic word is he comes. We have a second inauguration this year, so don't be surprised that is and Hypnotic November. So. Again, these are events I don't know, but I do know that gold and silver, the financial system collapses, stock markets collapse in late October, dollar plummets, collapses in November, and that would ultimately have to cause, the return of the gold standard. And so I wonder who's going to do that.
Yeah. Whose name is always associated with gold, right?
Right. Exactly.
Wow. Well, so to wrap it all up, and then I do want to talk about, I want to get into crypto for just a minute, but to wrap it up, we've got a very ugly crash and collapse coming, but it's going to be short-lived, and there's the bad stuff is going to get wiped out, and then you're going to live in the hypnotic part is going to be part of the crash, and it's also going to be part of some of the rebuilding. And can you imagine the look on their faces on CNN when they see all of this happening, their system being torn down and the builder returning? So I think the takeaway to me is we're in for some exciting times. We've been waiting, and it feels like nothing's happening, but there's so much happening behind the scenes that you and I don't see. But but we see with our spiritual eyes what's happening here, and Bo does such a great job of walking us through that. But pretty soon you're going to see it on TV, and it's going to be what an amazing time to live through.
We are
And
2 weeks away from, just over 2 weeks away from the 24th.
yeah, so it's coming quick. It's October 6th right now. The 24th is coming up.
This is final preparation time. This is the window. This is, shouting from the wilderness, prepare the way. I'm just saying that this is crazy is about to happen.
So Bo,
if you want to to prepare, you got very little time right now. Actually, one new slide. If you can click to 47 real quick. I just wanted to show you something, because you know that Julie Green has a prophetic word that Charles doesn't get the crown, which is interesting, because if this guy, if the son will, I am, there's no coincidences there, right? Because so if he gets the crown next year, he'll be 40, which is 40 years, right? So very powerful time point. 30 years forward takes you to 2030 agenda. But I do want you to point out, this is very important to understand, because we've talked about the scarlet riding the harlot riding the scarlet beast, right?
Yes.
Now, when that beast is destroyed, what happens is, when you have to read Revelation 13, verse 11, it says, "Then I saw another beast rise." Okay, that's the beast system, the mark of the beast system. So those of you who are going rah, rah, joy, joy, where everything's fixed, God just fixed everything. No, that was the third seal. God's going to show immense favor, immense blessings, because he wants his bride prepared for what is coming. And that goes back to what, you had in the slide 48, we're to be in the world, not of it. Be not a partaker of her sins. So very important, to understand that as great as these next few years are going to be, they're a great few years, an incredibly awesome next few years that are coming to prepare for what I just read.
Wow. Okay. Heavy stuff.
And so that's why it's important to be positioned, to be positioned. And if you have the means to hopefully people have done something about it. Again, I don't want to tell people what to do. That's their own choice. Financial choices are your choices. I'm just telling you what the scriptures and everything that I've been able to reveal, put together, all the pieces. I hope people have listened to this. I hope to listen to this 3 times, because there's a heck of a lot of information in these slides.
There is, and Bo, I usually say this at the beginning, and I forgot today. I got it on the screen right now. You point your cell phone at this with the camera app. You don't have to have a special app. Just get your camera app out, shoot it at this, and it's going to take you to a download link for these slides. Get them and save them. They're free. I'll put a link below the video too, if you want to find it that way. So grab these slides for sure, print them out, save them, and yeah, save this video too, and rewatch this interview, because I tell you, I usually I'm here for the interview. I get to conduct the interview, but I usually go back and listen again, and I pick up so many things that Bo said that I didn't get the first time. So that's a great idea to do that. And then, Bo, we've kept.
And then, so I just want to pause it. That'll take us to the next thing. So that's why this is when we talk about prepare, right? So we talk about having food and water, really important. Full armor of God. Have faith. You got to have, for whatever happens, how ugly it looks. People, God's got this. Whatever they tell you on the news, pay not attention to it, because God's got this. So whatever happens, I don't know what's going to happen, but it's going to look really bad. It's going to be bad. No, look, it's going to be bad. It's going to be bad. So whatever happens, I don't know, but for the markets to plunge 45 plus whatever percent, it's going to be bad. And so whatever happens, ignore the news. If you've prepared financially, or prepared with food and water, you've got the full armor of God, you've got faith that God's got this. And then if you had the means, you've got precious metals, you're not going to run and try to get stuff, because you won't be able to, it'll be too late. Then you got nothing to worry about. You just relax and let God do his thing, and let the pieces fall the bricks fall as they may. And then when the builder comes back to rebuild, we just, we all come together as one, and fulfilling the prophecy of Kim Clement that, there'll be no more two-party system, be a one-party system, that, because two-party system divides. Look what it just did. Okay. It divides. So, but ultimately the finance will be very important. Those who, have the means and not sure how to do this, there's 2 ways that I personally have prepared. This is what I personally have done. I have cryptocurrencies, and had them for a while. And I know that when the dollar crashes, the world is going to need to continue to transact. at distance, right? Different states, different countries. So you're going to need cryptocurrencies to do that. And look at Russia; they're already accepting crypto as complete payment for things. Okay, so the world will soon come on board that entire thing that you'll be able to use crypto to pay for whatever you want across the globe. So the problem is when all this goes down, if you're not in, you don't have account set up, you don't have a wallet, and you don't know how to do it on your phone, you're going to be stuck because other people, everybody's going to be trying to do it, and there'll just be an overflow, and all the institutions will going to be an overflow. So who knows? It might be months before you even be able to get online with them to be able to transact. And then the other thing is, if you don't have, or you want to get precious metals, if it's in your heart, you want to get precious metals, call up any local coin dealer and go get some precious metals. If you don't know where to go, on my website, Gold 2020 Forecast, we actually give you 4 or 5 or 6 different dealers, some in the U.S., some in Canada, some in Europe, that we know are reputable, that will deliver the metals for you. But when this event goes down, it'll be too late. They will shut their doors, because no one's going to know what to sell precious metals for. So if you're on the fence right now, you basically have chosen poorly, because when the event goes down, you'll be on the side of I shoulda, woulda, coulda, and I didn't. And everybody else who had precious metals, they'll be on the correct side. And whatever happens financially, precious metals will transition you into the new financial system. However it plays out, gold and silver will transition you into this upcoming new financial system, and you will immediately be a part of it because you prepared. So Noah, go from here.
Yeah, well, I always say that we love having Bo on because he gives away so much for free, and you just got a master's course in how to prepare and what to do. So I love that. Thank you for doing that, Bo. Thank you for getting that out there, and thank you for putting everything that you put into these slides too. So I don't think there's much better advice out there than what Bo just told you, especially the preparing just with food and water and spiritually as well. But I do want to cover your slide because you always put this in here, and it's very generous. That if you've heard a lot about crypto today, and you and maybe you're a trader, or maybe you already have some, but you'd like to get more of that detailed info. We've talked about it a couple times. Bo does have a newsletter that he puts out. Everything he does is for free, but this is the one thing that if you want really detailed information with his exact day and time cycles, he puts that out there. That this is where I read that report that we talked about earlier about Bo saying, even in the midst of red last week in the stock market, Bo said, "Hey, Monday it's going to turn up." That was in this newsletter right here. So you go to gold2020forecast.com if you want it. If you don't want it, then just listen to this interview and prepare on your own. But if you want this, if you'd like to get that kind of information where Bo tells you on a Friday that you're probably going to have a green week the next week, that's where we got this. And I love telling people it's in there. So go read it. You get access to the old articles, the old issues, and you can just click on the one from last Friday. And the other nice thing is Bo is always kind enough. Whenever he comes here, he gives a coupon code so that you can get a trial at 50% off. So if you like it, you keep it. If you don't like it, then you can read that.
Well, and also I just want to say, and there's so many people that the crypto space is kind of it's like, yes, you can just get involved in Bitcoin, but there's like thousands of coins out there. So
that's good.
It's like a whole thing. You got to be careful of like getting into cryptocurrencies, in that you don't know sometimes which coins to get. So the safest is always like Bitcoin or Ethereum, but then there's other coins that are, I think, more enjoyable to own. But again, it's just like, it's a big space. So we just got to try to give people guidance on the coins that we like.
Yeah, that's good. It's not all just Bitcoin. Bo covers probably 10 or 12 different coins, I would guess. Now he's got some of the symbols up here, not all of. He's got some other ones that aren't listed on here that he covers in the report. And Bo has said before, Bitcoin's at $20,000. So for it to, if it went to 100, that's a 5x in return. That's great. But there's some other ones that Bo covers on this list that he thinks could do 10x, 20x, 50x. It's not a financial guarantee. It's not financial advice, but he thinks they have some potentially bigger potential. So that's a great reason to get it if you want it. Because I get asked all the time, what's Bo's favorite coin, or what does Bo think is the best one to buy? It's not fair for me to give that information out since people do pay for this. So if that's you, if you're interested, you go to gold2020forecast.com, and then before you check out, you just put in there's going to be a box that says, do you have a code or a discount code or a promo code? You put in WLT49, it's going to save you 50%. So Bo, thanks for putting that up there. And then the other thing that we got a lot of feedback on last month when you were on is this is something you've just opened up again. It was closed for a while, but it's now open again. If you don't even know where to start and you want to understand, I don't want to make a mistake. I don't want to do something wrong, or I don't want to fall victim to a scam. I mean, just this week, we saw good old Kim Kardashian fined $1 million for promoting what was a scam. And she had to pay $1 million fine for that. And she has so many people, and she put out a message to go buy this one coin. I'm not even going to say what it was because it was a scam. And a lot of people lost all their money. So if you want to know how to do this, how to do it right, what are the right companies and reputable companies to work with, you go to this Easy Crypto School. And Bo, just to tell you, I've gotten so much positive feedback on this. People love this, and you can get in there. It's like a school. There's modules, and you just go through, and it's going to teach you from step one of not knowing anything to all the way to the end. And so you go to easycryptoschool.com, and again, Bo's giving you a discount on that. You can get in there, try it, and you could learn the whole school and then cancel it after a month too if you want. But you type in WLT49. And you'll get that off. And I know, gosh, hundreds of people have already signed up for that and love it. So kudos to you on that one, Bo. That's helping a lot of people.
Thank you.
Yeah. So all right. Well, I'm going to leave. I'll put the links for those down below. But what I love about Bo is he says, get those things if you need them. If you need to learn how to do it, then get it. If you want to learn get my newsletter and understand what's going to happen from Friday to Monday, then get it. But otherwise, if it's not for you, it's not for you. And so we're really appreciative that you spend all this time with us, Bo. I always like to give you the last word. So I think we're in for an amazing time. The 24th is only a couple weeks away. I'm excited. I know we're going to see some tough stuff, but we know how this story ends, and it's a good one. So I want to leave you with the final word for everybody. And in fact, before we do that, I want to get you full screen. There we go. We can see. Look at that. All right, Bo, leave us with the final word.
Thanks, Noah. So all I can finish with is this, what's going to happen, it's going to be something that's going to be so biblical, so crazy. We don't really know what it is and how this all plays out because it's a secret. The exact day it happens, and, whether it happens on the 24th, the 23rd, a couple days before, a couple days after, I don't know. I'm just saying we're here. This next, as we head into September 24th, expect craziness will start to happen in this world, and it's going to be crazy. The news, I don't know what it's going to be, but it's not going to be good. So stay focused on God. God's got this, and that's I can always finish with this. Regardless of how ugly or horrible or scary things look, evil does that to scare you, because when you're scared, you allow him to control you. And so you don't want to watch the news. You simply want to know that God's got this. God's in control. And so, like everything, one of my best, good friends, Greg Hunter, always says, fear not. God the Father, his son, Jesus Christ, and the Holy Spirit are in complete control. And how true is that? And it's the truth. And so the truth will set you free. So be well, Noah. God bless. Thank you for having me here again. And I hope your viewers watch this 2 or 3 times because there's a lot of information we covered.
It doesn't get any better than that. That's the perfect way to end it. We'll see you in a couple of weeks, Bo. Thanks for being here.
God bless.